morning. Today we will be talking about postpartum. So welcome back to my channel and postpartum recap, because I am now finally starting to feel like myself. I am now 4 months and a quarter postpartum, I believe. And yeah, taking it from the top, the recovery experience that I had honestly wasn't as bad as I expected it to be. I actually had way more fears around birth than I did around the recovery. I didn't even think about it until I got into it, and now looking back comparatively to what I've heard and other people talking about theirs, my recovery experience really wasn't that bad. Like I said in my previous video, if you guys have watched that, my birth story, I talk about how I had a C-section, all the things that went into the C-section, my whole experience and everything like that. And so basically, when you get home from a C-section, they give you pads to go over the area, and you kind of go through that process with them of what it's like changing, cleaning, all of that stuff with them in the hospital. So I already kind of knew what was going on, what to do. I would say the reason why for me it really wasn't so bad is because they do give you heavy pain meds. I was on some heavy pain meds, so things were stingy and burny, but it wasn't painful on the recovery side of things. And like I said, I kind of got into a rhythm at the hospital of when I was gonna change myself, how I was gonna change myself, and all of that stuff. So when I got home, I just kind of kept that same schedule. So that part, the recovery part of the postpartum, wasn't so bad. Now let's get into the emotions, the anxiety, all of that of the postpartum. That one was a different little level for me, because I won't lie, I was crying about everything. There were things that didn't even make sense that I was crying about. And it honestly started for me before I even left the hospital. I remember there was one night where I just couldn't produce enough milk. She had started clustering. And so clustering is just basically when the baby is just feeding. And it's a good sign for the baby, because it means that they're alert, they're hungry, they're growing. But when you haven't had your milk come in yet, it can be very overwhelming. And it was just a moment of just feeling inadequate, and I wasn't doing enough, I wasn't good enough. And so that layered on top, we had a nurse come in, and she was trying to help, but she didn't, what she was doing wasn't helping me. It was really honestly kind of making me more anxious. If you guys can hear my daughter, she's over here on the side. She might end up being here in my lap in a second because she's yelling at me. But yeah, she basically came in and was just oh, if you're not producing milk yet, here, just have this formula. And I had already come to the conclusion before all of this, if my breastfeeding journey wasn't meant to happen, that it was okay. Hold on. But yeah, I was already okay with not being able to fully breastfeed. I was cool because I have friends who have kids and who've told me of their experiences with breastfeeding, and them not being able to, them having to supplement. So I already kind of was aware that that could be an option. So I had already prepared myself for it. But I just remember that night, I was already just emotionally drained, because when they start clustering, it's crazy. It's 0 to 100. When your baby first comes out, they're just kind of sucking and then sleep, and you feel okay, cool, you're chill. But once they start clustering, it's a whole nother level of like, you gotta be producing or you just like are not keeping up and they start screaming at you. That's like when she first was ever like screaming at me, like yelling at me, and I was just like, what am I doing wrong? And so they gave us some formula, and like she wasn't taking to it really well. It wasn't making her happy. She was not trying to like drink it, and I just had one nurse who just like kept persistently like giving it to her until she just accepted it. And that just made me feel horrible because I was just like, there was nothing I could do. Like I didn't have the milk to give to her. And, you know, I was just like, I want my baby fed, but I don't want my baby fed if she doesn't like it. And it was just a whole night. And I remember just crying that night. And my husband was just trying to comfort me, but there was really nothing that he could do because I was just like, I was in that postpartum, like bawling just profusely. So yes, like, do you want to speak? Do you want to talk about it? You want to tell them about it? Okay. But yeah, so the emotions, the emotions were a roller coaster. I remember also just like when you first get home. Guys, this is why I film videos when she's asleep. This is exactly why I film videos when she's asleep. But yeah, like I just remember there was a time during my postpartum that I did have like thoughts that I did not enjoy and I didn't like. It was like thoughts about harming my child, if I'm being honest, like truly. And it wasn't like, I wasn't so far on the postpartum like spectrum there. Like I did all of the updates and everything like that. It was more so in the anxiety sector that caused me to have those thoughts. So I wasn't experiencing depression. I was more so just experiencing just that overwhelming weight of like, this person is relying completely and solely on me, but like I am still trying to figure out me and recover me. And it was a whole thing. And like if you've experienced that or if you've gone through it, like I totally understand. It's so hard to explain because it's not that you don't love your child and you don't want your child. It's just like in those moments you're just so overwhelmed, you're so anxious, like you're so just like tapped out that like these thoughts just run through your head. And I remember just being like, no. It was like I was like visualizing the thoughts in my head, grabbing a hold of them and like throwing them in the trash because I was like, no, like that's not an option. That's not anything that I want to do. And I would text my friend. I would text her and just be like, hey, these are the thoughts I'm having today. I just needed to let you know and just, you know, make someone else aware of what's going on with me because like when you're having those thoughts and having those emotions, like you just want someone else to like know. Because like going through that alone is like the worst thing that you can do. Like if you don't tell someone when you're going through things, it doesn't help. But yeah, so I don't know if that made any sense. I may have just like rambled a little bit, but that was the toughest part really for me, was the postpartum anxiety and the postpartum just like stress and all the emotional side of everything. So leading up to today, currently what I am experiencing now that I am 4 months and a quarter postpartum is the postpartum shedding, and it is amazing. Highly would not recommend. I don't know if you guys can tell, my edges, they are shedding. Yeah, I know, it's so sad. It's so sad. It's so sad. But yeah, my edges are currently shedding. My edges are currently shedding. And so I chose to be natural during this entire time, which I would not recommend. I may do a video later on discussing like things that I wish I had done during my pregnancy, and one of those things is getting braids, or at least doing something else with my hair, because it has not been fun having to take care of her and then detangle the like craziness that is going on here, because my hair grew so much because of the vitamins, the prenatals, and everything going on. And so I now have way more hair than I had before, but now all of it is starting to shed. So I'm having to like get all of that shed hair out of my head. And if you know how long detangling normally takes, just add 2 hours on top of that for postpartum shedding. And it's a hot mess. Like, I'm just in the shower for hours, and I can't do that all the time because I have a baby. So it's like every 2 weeks I'm in the shower for like 5 hours just trying to get out all of the shed hair that I have. Like, I will say, like, for me, that has definitely taken the cake on the worst part, because it's just like, it's painful. Like, it's wearing on my mental, because I'm just like, oh, my hair is gone. Yeah, it's just, the shedding part, I'm going through it. And I took my prenatals too. Like, for those of you who are like, just keep taking your prenatals, it'll help. I did. My hair still just was like, we're gonna get some out of here. And so, yeah, I may do a recap later on like what my postpartum shedding is like looking like when it stops, because I would like for it to stop soon. But yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and get out of here. I hope this video kind of helped. I hope it didn't seem like a crazy, like all over the place situation. This is just my life, trying to juggle this baby and doing other things. But yeah, I'll let you guys go. Thanks again for spending some time with me and talking to me about postpartum. And if you have any questions on anything I didn't touch on, or you just want to talk some more, let me know in the comments, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye.